A date which will live in infamy. That is how President Franklin Delano Roosevelt described the attack on Pearl Harbor that happened 75 years ago today.
That attack killed more than 2,500 people and wounded more than 1,000 others, and also led the U.S. into what would then be World War II. The infamous day is being remembered across the country with numerous ceremonies and events.
Joining us this afternoon is Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reporter Meg Jones. You have put together quite a package of stories about that day and about Wisconsin's connection to that day.
Exactly. You know, there was a number of Wisconsinites that were killed in Pearl Harbor or that were heroes on that day. In particular, there were two captains from Milwaukee that were at Pearl Harbor. Both earned Medals of Honor that day, and I wrote about them in the special issue.
You wanted to talk about that one. That was one that kind of interests you the most.
The man at the helm.
Yes.
On Pearl Harbor Day.
Franklin Van Valkenburg.
Was right from Wisconsin.
Yep. So he grew up here in Milwaukee and left Milwaukee to go to the Naval Academy, and he basically never came back to Milwaukee. He spent the rest of his career, 20+ years, preparing for war, and the sad fate for Franklin Van Valkenburg was that 9 minutes into his war, he was killed. So when you see the USS Arizona exploding, that's when Franklin Van Valkenburg died, and he was issued the Medal of Honor because he refused to leave the bridge of his ship.
He was one of those captains who went down with his ship, telling his crew, save yourselves, I'm going to stay here until the end.
Yep. And there's only 5 guys, you know, there's only a few hundred guys that survived the USS Arizona. There's only 5 survivors left. I had the chance to interview Lou Conter this summer when he was at EAA Oshkosh, and very interesting man. He was born up in northern Wisconsin, lives in California now, but he described how he was the quartermaster who sounded the general alarm that day, and just by pure chance he was able to survive.
You had a lot of interesting stories, but one that also stuck out to me was on the USS Arizona, that lost story about the band that performed in the life that was on that ship that many of us never knew about, that these guys were professional musicians and provided so much morale for the sailors during their time at sea. Exactly.
So there are 21 members of the USS Arizona band. A lot of the ships had their own bands, and the clarinet player happened to be was born in Viroqua, Wisconsin. And the sad fate of the USS Arizona's band was that they're the only U.S. Navy band that joined together, trained together, fought together, and then all died together, because they were on the fantail of the USS Arizona that day, getting ready to play the national anthem for colors at 8 a.m. But 5 minutes before they could even start playing, the first bombs started dropping. They all ran to their battle stations, which they were ammunition handlers. And when the ship exploded, all 21 members of the band were killed.
Last 20 seconds here. All these stories available online at JS Online, but you've got the print version, which for an event like this, a lot of people want to get. Where can they find that? Yep.
So this was for subscribers to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel Sunday, but you can also order a copy, just a single copy, by going on jsonline.com.
Meg Jones.
Thanks so much for coming in.
My pleasure.